Thank you for your patience. We're glad that you are here today. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Sam Adams-Lanham. I'm the Community Engagement Librarian here at the Barrington Area Library. So that means that most of the programs that I do are either for the benefit of our local nonprofits or alongside our local nonprofits. A couple logistical things I want to cover. There is a restroom and drinking fountain to the left as you leave this room down the hallway there. In a few moments, I'm going to introduce Vicki with the League of Women Voters, who is my partner for this program. And she's going to go over some guidelines that the League asks that you follow. The library asks that you follow them also. We're glad that you're all here and engaged with the happenings of the Barrington Civics. For the day to be as productive as possible for as many people as possible, we ask that you be respectful and listen to what people have to say without making any interjections or anything of that sort. So again, thank you all so much for being here, and I'm going to turn things over to Vicki with the League of Women Voters.
Good afternoon, and thanks to all of you for attending today's candidate forum featuring the candidates running for the school board for Barrington District 220. Like Samantha said, my name is Vicki Martin, and I am the forum chairman for the League of Women Voters of the Palatine, Barrington, and Schaumburg areas, which also includes Inverness, Hoffman Estates, and Rolling Meadows. Founded in 1920, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that neither supports, opposes, or recommends candidates for office. The League was founded here in the Chicago area over 100 years ago, in 1920, in order to help educate and inform the new female voters who had just earned the right to vote. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through informed and active participation of all citizens. Providing this forum enables members of the community to become better informed about the issues facing the community and the candidates running for office. We are pleased to offer this service to you. Before we go any further, as a way to remind ourselves why we are here, and that regardless of our individual political views, we're all Americans, please rise, remove your hats, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today's forum will be recorded by the League of Women Voters for use in educating the public. A video of this forum will be available early next week on the League website. The candidates have all agreed to this. No campaign signs, buttons, or partisan materials are allowed in this room. No voice, image, or other duplication of this forum may be used by a candidate's representative or campaign advertising. The League of Women Voters claims copyright ownership of all recordings or transcripts produced from this event and reserves the right to publicize this forum. All audience members are hereby advised that their image may appear in the forum video or in photographs of the forum. To view this forum, please go to the League website, www.lwvpalatinearea.org. We want to thank all of you for taking the time to attend this forum. In order to help us stay within our time limits and out of respect for the candidates and your fellow attendees, we ask that you hold your applause until the end of the forum. No questions will be taken from the floor, and no interruptions, heckling, or other disruptions will be tolerated. We'd also like you to please take a moment to silence your cell phones. We'd like to extend our sincerest thanks to Sam Adams-Lanham, head of the Community Engagement Team at the Barrington Library, and the library staff who made today's forums possible. Now I'm pleased to introduce our moderator for today's forum, Catherine Sawyer. Catherine is a member of the League of Women Voters and has been trained by the League. Catherine's moderated many forums, so we're very fortunate that she's able to be with us this afternoon. Candidates, do you all have water? Does everybody have one? Because I've got more. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Beautiful. This is always a good thing. So it's certainly my pleasure to be with you this afternoon to moderate this candidate forum. As a Palatine resident, I'm not eligible to vote in this election, so I've been asked to serve as an impartial facilitator for this discussion and as a volunteer for the League of Women Voters. Please let me take a few minutes to explain the format and the rules of our forum today. All candidates were contacted by mail, email, or phone and have agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. They are as follows. Candidates have drawn numbers to determine their speaking order. I will rotate this order during the forum for questions, and each candidate will answer every question. That's so much easier. Candidate answers will be timed by a team of trained timers by the league who are sitting up here in the front row. They'll hold up a sign indicating how much time the speaker has left. Timers, please raise your signs so that everyone can see them. Each candidate will have a 2-minute opening statement, and then each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each of the questions. I'm happy to repeat the question if necessary. Candidates will be given 30-second and 15-second warnings, so please quickly wrap up your thoughts before you see the stop card. Time limits will be enforced out of respect for all candidates. If needed, a rebuttal may be requested. Each candidate may use a maximum of 2 rebuttals. Rebuttals will be timed and limited to 30 seconds each. Simply raise your rebuttal card if you wish to speak or interrupt me if you need to. Finally, each candidate will have a 1-minute closing statement. Questions have been submitted by audience members at the time of registration, by the candidates, and by local civic organizations. Questions have been reviewed for clarity, appropriateness, and to avoid duplication. We've done our best to ensure that questions are free from inherent bias. Candidates have been asked not to interrupt one another. There are 6 candidates running for 4 open seats in the April election to be members of the Barrington School District 220 Board. Today, we will hear directly from 5 of these candidates: Sandy Vicky Bradford, Karen Karam, Harathi Srivastava, Deanna Stern, and Steve Wang. Candidate Erin Chan Ding was unable to attend today's forum. She has sent a representative to read a statement on her behalf, and this will be done after all candidates have made their final statements. I want to thank you all for your participation, and we will begin with your 2-minute opening statement by number draw. Ms. Vicky Bradford will go first.
All right. Okay, make sure this is on. Okay, this is a test. Can you hear me? Is it working? Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you to the League of Women Voters of Palatine, Barrington, and Schaumburg. I appreciate you holding this forum. My name is Sandra Vicky Bradford, and I am an incumbent to the Office of the Board of Education for Barrington 220. Today I'm going to start by asking for a little bit of grace. I spent the last few days preparing for and attending the funeral of my mentor, my friend, and my dear cousin. So I don't feel quite as prepared as I normally would be. But I'm here seeking the opportunity to continue as a District 220 board member so that I can be part of implementing significant projects such as the new community auditorium. Thank you to this generous community for your support. And Framework 220, our comprehensive district strategic plan. Framework 220 includes 6 measurable priorities derived from stakeholder input and will guide the district's work for the next few years. As board president, I have worked hard to build stronger relationships with the other board members, and I am proud of what we have accomplished in these recent years, including 3 full-day kindergarten and a very successful kindergarten lab program at Barrington High School, which is one of the first of its kind in the country. We also enabled the first ever district capital planning tool, which will allow us to better prepare and monitor for capital projects more effectively. I am confident that my leadership has encouraged transparency and collaboration among members of the board and within the community. If re-elected, I am committed to providing continuity and historical insights to ensure the board remains effective, productive, and fiscally responsible. My cousin lived his life with kindness and love for all, and this is how I have and how I will continue to serve this community and our learners. With love and kindness for all, regardless of the color of their skin, their learning style and their abilities, or their God-given identity. I want to truly empower personal excellence in every learner. So please cast your vote for me, Sandra Ficky Bradford. You can learn more at sandraford220.com.
Thank you. Mr. Wang, your 2-minute opening statement.
Thank you, and thank you, Sandra. That was, well, first of all, I'd like to do similarly, thank the League of Women Voters for having us here today. It is much appreciated to provide this forum for us to share our positions as well as to introduce ourselves back to the community. So I'm also an incumbent and I'm running for re-election. And what I'd like to just mention is that, you know, my why is sitting in this room right now. It's my children, it's you folks, but it's also sitting outside this room in the form of the taxpayers, the parents, and all the various constituents that we have. My goal is to serve all of you. And so, you know, my family comes from a long line of folks who serve their communities. My heart for service is through this community that's given me so much. And I'm sorry, and can you hear me okay? Okay, I just want to make sure. And you know, to that end, you know, that's why I'm here. I have 2 children in the district right now. One will be class of 2032, and then I'm proud to announce that the other will be class of 2043, and it'll be full infant right now. And so, by the way, if you guys hear a yell, and it's not from me, it'll probably be from him. But anyways, all jokes aside, you know, we've had a very good 4 years. I don't know that we could have started any worse, but to Sandra's point, we've done a fantastic job of leaning on each other, building upon our strengths, and making sure that we've gotten a lot accomplished. In addition to what Sandra mentioned, you know, some of the things that we've done as well are renegotiated contracts for BEA as well as our BSDO. We've maintained our AAA rating. We've onboarded 2 superintendents, not just 1 in 4 years. And we've also done much with regards to safety as far as having SROs and improving our budget processes. And so, you know, what I'm looking for is just continuing my work here. We have a $64 million referendum that was passed. We have a great strategic plan that's in place. And, you know, from my standpoint as a God-fearing individual, I want to operate with passion, with love for all, and making sure that what I do will be for the best of our community. And I just ask that you consider me when you vote on April 1st, or if you vote early. Steve Wang, and by the way, my website is in process of being up. It is done, I promise, but you know, it's a little more difficult than I thought it would be. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Karam.
Hi, I'm Katie Karam. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us. I know this is a great way to get to know all of us running. I'm running for re-election for my 2nd term on the Board of Education. I was born and raised in Barrington. I'm a proud BHS graduate, class of 95. And actually, my 30th reunion is coming up, and not that we're counting, but, and I still have 3 children currently in the district. To say that my first time running 4 years ago was during a tumultuous time would obviously be an understatement. The learning curve for this position is steep, to say the least. It was made even more difficult during a divided time in our world and our community, when the focus was not on regular board business, but the business of recovering from the pandemic. I truly believe the board should represent the voice of the community, and I can honestly say I've worked hard over the last 4 years to help bring our board together to focus on the business of doing what is best for our students and our district. An effective board member must be able to understand that while all 7 of us do not have to agree on everything, we do have to listen to all stakeholders and work towards a compromise and the common goal of doing what is best for all of our students, staff, taxpayers, and the community. Even with the pandemic, though, we've been able to accomplish much during our term, as you've already heard. The completion of the 2020 referendum work, the successful passing of the $64 million Transform 220 referendum, providing free day kindergarten, the development of Framework 2020, establishing long-term planning tool, and so much more, prioritizing social media awareness and our SROs. Obviously the list goes on, but I can say I'm probably most proud of the work that has gone on to making the board a productive reflection of the differing viewpoints throughout our district. I'd be honored to put use what I've learned over the last 4 years and continue to make a positive impact for our community.
Thank you. Ms. Srivastava.
Hi, I'm Harathi Srivastava, and I'm running for District 220 School Board. I first off wanted to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting me to this forum and for allowing me to participate. My husband and I moved here roughly 5 years ago with our 3 children. We have one 5th grader at Huff, a 3rd grader at Countryside, and then I have a almost 4-year-old at Noah's Ark. So we moved to a district that we wanted to have a diverse community that we could raise our family in, and also to provide our children with a wonderful opportunity to not only succeed but thrive. I have a passion for education. I have been a lifelong learner. I am a nurse by profession, currently at home with my 3 children. As a board member, I am committed to ensuring that we are actively meeting the needs of all the members of our community if elected. Also, I believe that we need to actively listen and collaborate with the community, and also effectively communicate, be transparent, and also place a focus on physical and mental safety and how we can provide our children the tools that are needed to succeed, especially when transitioning from one school to another or with the ever-changing social landscape that we live in. And also, I feel we need to continue to provide our teachers with all the tools they need to succeed while not increasing any burden on them and being a good financial steward of the taxpayer dollars. So I thank you for your time, and once again, I'm Harathi Srivastava, running for District 220 School Board.
Thank you. Ms. Stern.
Hi everybody, my name is Deanna Stern and I'm running for District 220 School Board. I am a parent, I am a former teacher, and I am a school district fundraiser. I have 4 children, 2 that already graduated from the school district and are currently in college. My children, and I have 1 child that's here today that is in high school and 1 that is in 8th grade. My children took part in advanced placement classes, honors classes, and 1 even had an IEP. So I've seen all of the different aspects. They were in fine arts and athletics. In the past, I was a tenured special education teacher at Stevenson High School. And I also was a substitute teacher in District 220 for over 9 years, subbing mostly at the high school, but also at some of the elementary schools as well. I have also been a substitute teacher at Districts 211, U46, and District 15. I have my master's in educational leadership, and I am a current trustee in the Educational Foundation, and I've raised collectively over $500,000 for the school district for different programs such as the 3 fine arts studios at the high school, and the culinary internship program, and the greenhouse. I was the Barbara Rose PTO president for 2 years. We also fundraised there. I did support the fine arts referendum as well. I am advocating, I'm running for the school board because I'm advocating for mental health, school safety, future career readiness, and the rights of special education students and fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Wonderful. We'll move on to questions. The first question is, what is one thing that you believe could be improved in the school district? And how would you go about promoting this change? We'll start with Mr. Wang. 1 minute, please.
Well, pardon me. So thank you for that question. Sorry, a little eager to answer the question. So as it relates to things that we can improve on, I'm one of those people who thinks that there's always opportunity for improvement. I am not one to rest behind laurels and say that, gosh, we solved this problem, so therefore we must be done. So when I look at myself, I look at my family, and just like I look at the school board and the school district, I see opportunities. And while we have a wonderful school district with wonderful programs, great leadership, and quite frankly, excellent students and excellent educators, the thing that I would probably want to improve on even more so is making sure that we continue being a voice for the parents and taxpayers of our district. Making sure that we hear what they're saying, make sure that we apply changes, and that we are in a manner that is beneficial to all learners as well as the taxpayers, to ensure that we have the best district, and hopefully the district that's going to be considered among the best, if not the best, in the United States. And quite frankly, okay.
Thank you. Ms. Karen.
Goes fast.
It does.
Okay, one of the best things about Barrington is that we're a unit district that's not unique to every district. So obviously we go elementary through high school, and this isn't new. It's been talked about. The transition between levels, I feel we are constantly working on it, and we could continue to improve that. I actually think maybe like a mentorship program would be a good idea, where we had maybe 6th graders or 7th graders go down into the elementary school and high school down into the middle school. I think that's the hardest thing. That was the hardest part for my children, COVID aside, but moving between the levels is quite jarring. And with a little bit more help and preparedness, I think that could be an easier transition.
Thank you. Mrs. Srivastava.
I think that there's one thing that we can improve on in regards to safety and security. Currently, I am the Barrington area lead for Be Smart for Kids, which aims at working with community organizations and the community as a whole for promoting safe and secure gun storage. I think with the overall prevalence of mental health issues among kids and all of our families, there's a lot going on that we can work on to partnering with the community and expand on. We did implement safety resource officers in the middle schools, but what else can we do in order to provide the tools and provide our families and our children more resources and support, and actively listen to them to see what they need from us to help with their mental health and with the overall physical safety of being at school.
Thank you. Ms. Stern.
In lines with the social media awareness committee that the school district has, I would like to promote less device usage in all of the schools, and more focus on just old-fashioned communication and even going back to actual textbooks. I also would like having either laptops or Chromebooks, because our students do not know how to type. They need to know how to type. So I will definitely advocate for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki Bradford.
Thank you. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about communication as a place, an area to improve. So I'm just gonna get that out there. We've had a couple blunders in the last couple of weeks, and we are committed to improving that communication. I agree with Steve, you commented on there's always opportunity for improvements. I'm always looking for ways to improve. We've done a lot. We've got a lot of things in our strategic plan. I'm very interested in the future readiness to make sure that our students are well prepared when they leave our district, and fostering those community partnerships. We've also have just spent a lot of money, right, with our referendum that we've just finished completing, and we're about to start a new one. So one thing I'd like to spend some time thinking about is how can we get the community to use those facilities? We used to have a while ago some adult education classes, and so how can we use those facilities and the taxpayer dollars to service not just the students but our adult learners in the community as well.
Thank you. Next question. When casting your vote at a school board meeting, how would you balance the input from administration and other experts with parents and community input? We'll begin with Ms. Karam.
Can you say it one more time?
Absolutely. When casting your vote at a school board meeting, how would you balance the input from administration and other experts with parents and the community input?
This is a good one. So I believe the school board should represent the voice of the community, as I already said in my opening statement. And honestly, all 7 of us shouldn't have the same opinion. What would be the point? Our community doesn't all have the same opinion. So if we don't have a variety of opinions on the board, we're doing a disservice to our district, I feel. So obviously, parents are the taxpayers, and their children are the one having the results of votes at the board table. So that is very important. But also, I have to understand that the administration are the ones who have the background knowledge that I don't have, maybe, depending on the situation. So, you know what, I guess I've probably gone both ways. There have been times where the community has swayed my vote, and there have been times where the administration, I feel, has the better background information and is giving me better knowledge to make a decision. So I can't say that I can say one or the other on that one. It depends on the situation.
Thank you. Mrs. Srivastava.
I believe that the first thing that we need to do is listen to the community, but also listen to the experts. So if it's an issue about curriculum, we should be relying on our educators to help us guide our decision-making process. If it's a decision regarding special education, we should lean on the input from the families and those that it directly affects, while addressing the diverse needs of the public, and also following state and local national guidelines when making our decisions, and following data and implementing practices based on data and also the input of the public. So we need to understand that we are a diverse community, and we need to reflect that when we are making our decisions and actively listen to what everyone has to say, but ensure that we're following all of those guidelines.
Thank you. Ms. Stern,
Can you repeat the question?
I'd be happy to. When casting your vote at a school board meeting, how would you balance the input from administration and other experts with parents and community input?
Well, I think it's important to gather feedback from all stakeholders, people in the community, taxpayers. I know a lot of people in the community, just parents, because I have 4 children in the district, so I've met a lot of different people. And I also think it's important to, hear from the administration and the teachers and hear what's going on. I know there's a lot going on right now with special education in our school district. A lot of feedback from the parents, but you also need to figure out what's going on behind the scenes. What changes are being made, and so I think we need to work collaboratively and hear everybody's perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki Bradford.
Sure, thank you. I'm gonna try to tell a little story here. Because I also think it's important to listen to all the voices in the community, but it really depends on what it is the decision. You've gotta do a balance. And so I was one of the board members that, in our 2020 referendum, removed the auditorium from the referendum, right? And so because what we learned from the 2019 referendum is we listened to the community and we heard that it was confusing and people didn't understand why we needed a new auditorium. So we put some dollars into the 2020 referendum to study and learn more about what we needed as a community. We listened to the staff, we listened to the community, we listened to the experts, we went and visited places and placed it again on the 2024 referendum. So it's just a good example of how, and then we successfully passed because we had done the study. So it was good that we, as I reflect back, it was good that we changed our decision, and I voted to not put it on in 2020. So I changed based on what I listened to from the community and the stakeholders. So that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Wang.
Thank you. Yeah, this is an interesting question because I think there's always a balance you have to strike as it relates to, using subject matter expertise as well as your own raw and emotion. And so for me, my promise 4 years ago and my promise to you again today is that I won't just be a rubber stamper. I'm not gonna just take the viewpoint and just pass it along because that's what I was told. I will take the community feedback. I will take the administrative recommendation. I will also use empirical evidence because that's what I do. I will take all the data available to me and make a data-driven decision and make sure that it's supported by rationale as well as good results that our taxpayers and our parents want for our district. And to that end, I'll just point out one thing that I did not mention during my recap myself, but by trade, I'm a VP of Finance for a multi-billion-dollar healthcare organization. I must do this every day because otherwise it will cause us to not be able to stay in business, and therefore that is what I would love to continue to bring here at Barrington. Thank you.
Next question. What responsibilities, if any, should the school district assume for addressing problems such as gun violence, gun safety, discrimination, poverty, hunger, mental health conditions, or drug abuse? Covers the latter, doesn't it? I've gotten a sign from the Tyson.
How much time do we have?
All right, here's the question again. What responsibilities, if any, should the school district assume for addressing problems such as gun violence, gun safety, discrimination, poverty, hunger, mental health conditions, or drug abuse? Ms. Srivastava, you're our first responder.
as the school district, we are such a large and diverse community, over 75 square miles. We represent such a wide variety of people, some of whom may, be in poverty, some of whom may have all these other things that you have mentioned. In my volunteer, I actually am a lead for Barrington Giving Day, and so I firsthand have seen people think from the outside perhaps that Barrington doesn't have a community that has this, but we service over 300 families that come for multiple events throughout the year, and you can see the impact that it really makes for a child to have a dress for prom, or for them to be ready for college, or for them to have snow boots so they can go play out in the snow. So I think it's really important as a district that we do spend time and resources and provide as much as we can for the community if they are affected by any of those things.
Thank you. Ms. Stern.
Okay, so I think I'm just gonna address two of the issues for time. First one, school safety. There was a student that entered the high school that was not a District 220 student, and there was concern, how did this happen? How did the student get into the school? So I find that very concerning. I think school safety should, be heightened. If anything, we need to always focus on that. First and foremost, we gotta make sure all of our students are safe. And secondly is the mental health of our students. In our social media awareness committee, they are reading The Anxious Generation and Growing Up in Public. So the school district is already focusing on these issues, especially with mental health. That's my answer for both. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki Bradford.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. Well, I guess first and foremost, students can't learn if they're hungry, and they can't learn if they don't feel safe. And safety can come in many forms, right? You can be scared of gun violence, as we've talked about. We can be also just scared of not being welcome, not feeling comfortable in the classroom. So what this school district has a responsibility to do is really to teach not just the students, but also the community and the parents about what the students need. And what, I throw in drug abuse there too, so make sure the students understand and learn what can happen if they get involved in that. We have done things like we've provided breakfast at Sunny Hill, for example. We've partnered with, what's the backpack group? So we've made sure that we have food in that regard. But we also need to make sure that, just generally speaking, we don't want their school to be fortresses either, right? So we want to make sure that they feel welcome and they can walk into the school and feel confident. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wen.
I'm sorry, can I ask you to just repeat?
Absolutely.
One more time, I just want to make sure I have it all.
Of course. What responsibilities, if any, should the school district assume for addressing problems such as gun violence, gun safety, discrimination, poverty, hunger, mental health conditions, or drug abuse?
Got it, okay. Now we're business, okay. Well, the school district has a unique place in our community. When I look at our particular school district, we have a fair amount of resources, and so to me, when we think about what our responsibilities lay in, yes, Sandra mentioned a few of them, I heard a few of them down there as well. We do provide a lot of the things to ensure that our students aren't coming to school hungry, and if they are, there's an avenue for us to get a meal. If our teachers are trained so that if they're noticing any sort of mental distress, they can identify it and they can address it. As far as drug usage, we certainly are putting in safeguards to ensure that we're minimizing that in our schools and hopefully educating so that they're not being done outside of our schools. And as far as discrimination, we have a fantastic DEI committee that's been working to ensure that all our children are accepted, loved, and have a place in our schools. And as far as gun violence goes, I know, Harafi, to your credit, you've been part of that push, so I applaud you for that. And it's all part of our school district, all part of our efforts. So yes, we have a very unique opportunity, and we do a lot of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Karen.
I won't make you repeat it again, but, okay. Our tagline is empowering excellence in every learner, and obviously that can't just, while education is our main business, we have to teach the whole student and take care of the whole student. So to what everyone said, partnering with BYFS, Lessons in a Backpack, Giving Day, we each sit on multiple committees, and one of mine is safety and security, and I cannot tell you how amazing it is to work with our local police and fire departments, and I'm very proud of the work and the partnership we have together. So I do want people to understand that that is obviously a top priority and has been one of the main focuses of both referendums. And then as far as the rest go, yes, I obviously with our DEI committee we do help with food for children who perhaps need it, and so yes, responsibility for all the things.
Yes, a rebuttal, 30 seconds,
I just
please.
I just wanted to also accentuate the referendum, the things that we've done with the referendum. We've done a lot for safety and security at each one of the schools. There's now a secure vestibule at every single one of the schools, which didn't exist before. We've got a common platform, even some dollars in the upcoming 2024 referendum we just approved. Will also be used to further security at each one of the schools. And I wanted to mention the partnerships with these two. Thanks, Katie. So we've got great relationship with our communities, and we've had great partnerships, and we try to avoid anything bad.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next question. Are there any curriculum currently used by this school district at any level that you disagree with? If so, what are they? And can you explain your position? We'll start with Ms. Stern.
Any curriculum that I disagree with? I don't think there's any curriculum that I disagree with right now. I'd like to see more curriculum in regards to the social emotional learning. They have Character Strong. So I would like to see some connection to parents and educating our parent community in regards to Character Strong. Also, I'd like to see some lunch and learns at the school. When I was at Stevenson High School, they would always do trainings for teachers and staff, and it could be regards to mental health, suicide prevention, drug paraphernalia that they would be bringing in just to educate teachers and staff. So I'd like to see more of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki Bradford.
Okay, so I don't know that there's anything that I know that I disagree with at this point in time, but I just wanted to point out that the board has basically two main roles, right? We do approve curriculum every year, the core curriculum, and we hire a superintendent that shares the goals that we have to empower personal excellence in every learner. As part of Framework 220, we did develop a learner profile that centers around rigorous academics, but also touches on social emotional learning and future preparedness and so forth. Also during my tenure on the board, we've established a 7-year review cycle for all curriculum, not just math and literacy and science, but also for social emotional learning too. And that review cycle includes, studying, collecting data to make sure we understand what it is, a plan for that curriculum, as well as implementation and then refinement for several years, so we can make sure we adjust and adapt that curriculum as needed.
Thank you. Mr. Wang.
Yes, thank you. And Sandy, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just gonna say something very similar. And you know what I'll also mention though, that I think this board, or at least this board has overseen us do, which I think is a fantastic change, is historically the curriculums were provided, I would say approximately in the August timeframe or even early September timeframe when school had already started. And now this curriculum in this current year was offered to us, I believe, at our last board meeting, if not one prior. So in other words, now we have almost 6 months for parents and the board to actually have an opportunity to see it before it's implemented. Now we will vote on it, I believe at our next meeting, to put it into action. But nevertheless, we still have an opportunity as parents, as taxpayers, to see the curriculum well ahead of its implementation and be able to utilize our libraries and see what we would like changed and if we can provide feedback. And so to me, that's a perfect opportunity to share your voice. But to answer the key question, no, I don't have any particular grievances with the curriculum. And to be frank, the majority of it is provided by the ISBD anyways. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Karen.
So what they said. Honestly, we have a really rigorous curriculum review process that I'm not sure that all parents are quite aware of. You know what, you're not aware of a lot of things until you get on the board and become aware of all of them. But it goes through a research and plan stage, a development stage, an implementation stage, and then a monitor and refine stage. So honestly, if there was anything, that I don't have anything, but there are so many steps along the way for checks and balances that, I hope that we would never get to that point. And as Steve said, much of it is set at the state level, so that we are in compliance with that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, no, you're good. We'll be done at some point.
Ms. Srivastava.
Currently, I don't believe that we have any issues with any of the curriculum that we need to do. I think as a district, we just need to make sure that we are continuing to create new experience for our students, listen to what their needs are, and also find ways to still meet all of the state standards and the values of our community. So as long as we continue to adapt and we are proactive in meeting the needs of our community, that's the best way to ensure that we don't have any coursework or curriculum that we're not happy with.
Wonderful. We'll move on to our next question. Do you support this district providing teacher training on cultural competency, implicit bias, and supporting diverse student populations? Why or why not? We'll start with Ms. Vicki Bradford.
Thank you. You know, as part of our district strategic plan, we have a goal around inclusive learning objective. And with that inclusive learning objective, it's designed to cultivate and embrace diversity of all types of our students, again, to empower personal excellence with every learner. When we moved here, and our kids first, I've got 3 kids that have been in the district, and the first program that we signed our kids up for was the Spanish dual language program. And we wanted them not to just learn a second language, which was a kind of a byproduct, but also to learn and respect students that didn't look like them or behave like them. And it wasn't just, and those cultural programs, you know, they don't just encompass just cultural differences, but there's other diverse ways to learn about students in the district too. It can be special education or other students with special needs.
Thank you. Mr. Wang, do you support the district providing teacher training on cultural competency, implicit bias, and supporting diverse student populations? Why or why not?
I'll just say simply yes, I absolutely do. I think it is wonderful that we have a school district that is very diverse with regards to cultures, faith, and every other element you can imagine. And so it is incumbent upon us as, you know, educators and us promoters of education to ensure that our teachers are fully aware of what our students need on a day-to-day basis, and to also embrace all the various, you know, special elements that our students have. I think it would be a disservice, frankly, if we were to prevent this type of training. And quite frankly, I feel like I myself could benefit from more of this type of training myself. So yeah, I'm very supportive of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Karen.
Yes, also in support, as Sandra pointed out, one of our initiatives for Framework 220 is inclusive education. And we've also implemented new professional learning days for our teachers this year. There's 4 half days, which we won't get into whether or not you like the half days or not, but part of that is professional development for our teachers, and not only on curriculum, but this very topic. And our district equity team has been working with them. We started with the elementary school teachers, I believe, and it will be run out to all the teachers. So this is already going on, and with much support and great feedback, and I hope we continue the good work on it.
Thank you. Ms. Srivastava.
Can you repeat the question?
I'd be happy to. Do you support this district providing teacher training on cultural competency, implicit bias, and supporting diverse student populations? Why or why not?
Yes, I do fully support that, and based on what they also have said, I think we need to continue to champion all the things that they have been doing, including the Grow Your Own program that they have, and our population is very, very diverse. 40% of our district is of people of color. 1 in 5 are either on the special ed program or have an IEP, and so if we continue to invest in those students and they come back, that will only help foster a sense of culture for our children and for them to have a sense of belonging and also feel valued. in a personal experience, I know growing up, I was raised in a community with not many people that looked like me, and just representation does matter, and I feel so thankful and grateful that I can raise my kids in a community where this is being a focus and where they can be valued and they can see people that look like them, so I think it's very, very important.
Thank you. Ms. Stern?
Hi, yes, I definitely support this as well. At Barbara Rose Elementary School, we had a multicultural night, which was great, every year, and we celebrated all the different cultures and nationalities of our school. In addition, the Illinois report card added DEI to their rating system, so I think this is also great because this is how they rate the schools and give them scores. So we need to continue to educate our teachers on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I think, as they said, we're doing this under our strategic plan, under inclusive education, so I think it's wonderful. Continue to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question. What would be your plan to address the potential elimination of the Department of Education funding for individual education programs for students with disability and low-income students in the school district? We'll start with Mr. Wang.
Catherine, may I ask you to repeat that last part?
I'd be happy to. What would be your plan to address the potential elimination of Department of Education funding for individual education programs for students with disabilities and low-income students in the school district?
Got it. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a hot topic right now as it relates to the Department of Education. And, you know, certainly I would say that while the school district isn't necessarily in a position right now to, you know, oversee everything in the absence of the department, we certainly are having ongoing conversations with how we deliver education, how we, you know, view our curriculum, and how we do address all the various programs that we have. And so, you know, when I think about how to best address the lack of that national oversight, I would say that we need to work with our state legislatures. We want to make sure we work with, you know, our local experts, our administrators, lobbying, Springfield, working with our current departments to ensure that we provide the programming, provide the resources that are, you know, critical for our students, particularly as it relates to what you just said in terms of special ed and all these other areas that are in need of oversight. And so, to me, it's, you know, just, again, communication, collaboration, and, you know, cooperation together. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's not
Ms.
like
Karen.
fast.
I know.
So the reality is, what Steve said, but 88% of our budget comes from local taxes, 9% comes from the state, and 3% comes from federal. So if we were to lose the 3% specific to this, I would definitely be advocating at the state level to make sure that if the power moves from the federal government to the state level, that we can make up that funding somehow. The good thing for us is, good or bad, is the vast majority of our budget is dependent on local taxes. So I'm hoping that if we advocate at the state level and work with them, that this won't be something that we would have to worry about too far from a funding perspective.
Thank you. Ms. Srivastava.
I believe we are all of the same mind here on this issue, but I think the best thing that we can do is control our policies and not reliant on the national government. So if we are being proactive instead of reactive and continually monitoring what's going on, we can see at what areas we can eliminate or cut funding so that we don't have to cut a program that is very, very important to the community and the public. So that, I think that the best thing we can do is just be proactive.
Ms. Stern.
Okay, so as we said before, 3% of the budget comes from federal funding. If the state didn't take over this funding, then we would have to look at it in our own budget. IDEA, as you know, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, there's nothing that we can cut there with special ed because these students have IEPs, they're legal documents, and we need to make sure that they're fulfilled. So, you know, we need to make sure that these dollars, that if this does indeed happen, that we can figure it out within our own budget if it doesn't come from the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki Bradford.
Yeah, I guess we're fortunate that only about 3% of our budget is impacted by federal funding, but that doesn't mean that it won't hurt us, right? So we're gonna have to get creative, and we're gonna have to rely on our great administrators that we have to find ways to more efficiently and effectively meet the needs of all students and without dropping. I also agree with advocating for the state to see if they can help. One thing that's been very difficult to deal with over the years is unfunded mandates, right? So we need to continue to find those creative ways to meet those needs while also meeting the legal requirements as well. I do have, I'll give you a little bit of my background with the last 15 seconds I have. I have a bachelor's in industrial engineering, so I'm very, and I have a master's in engineering management, so I really like to solve problems. So I would use those skills to help me further solve these kind of problems.
Thank you. Next question. With the passage of the $64 million referendum in November, what are your top priorities for allocating this funding? And we'll start with Ms. Karen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Katie.
Oh, sorry. Well, I hate to break it to you, but it's already allocated, so you can go on our website and take a look. Obviously, the vast majority is going to the new auditorium, which is so beyond exciting for this community. I think it's going to be an amazing space, not only for the school district, but for the whole community to come to. It'll be the first time we have, other than the gymnasium, a space that we can bring a whole class into and have a presentation, and air conditioning, although the gym is getting that too, thank you. The rest is going to some more safety issues, STEM classrooms, update at the middle school, science classrooms, 7th and 8th grade science classrooms, I should say. And what am I missing? And then the fine arts upgrades also. If I'm missing something, sorry, it is very detailed on our website. We have talked about it a lot. We were very, I can't think of the word. We were very careful on how we decided to allocate the funds.
Thank you. Ms. Srivastava.
As Katie had already mentioned, the money has already been allocated on what areas we'll be using it, but I think although we've determined a budget for X amount of dollars for each item, it does not mean that we can't also find other ways to be resourceful, and maybe if it's whether or not with the contractors that we use or how we can find a way to make sure that we are being good financial stewards of the money and perhaps not need to use all the $64 million.
Ms. Stern.
So, as everyone said too, it is on their website. It's Transform 220, and it's really nice because they have a section that says the design phase, and then they're going to go out to bid, and then the build phase. So you can follow along if you go to the website. I specifically would like to make sure that the auditorium would be ADA compliant, which I'm sure they're going to make sure that that is the case, so that all students with physical handicaps and everybody can have access to all of the departments within the auditorium, and that it could also be used for community. You know, it's not just for the school district, it's for to be used for our community as well.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki Bradford.
Yeah, so please visit our website. Transform 220, lots of details there. I think we've got an opportunity here with this new auditorium to create something that's the opposite of our auditorium today. It's not very accessible, it's difficult, the seats are uncomfortable, it's not ADA compliant up to standards today. We can make this a much more friendly and welcoming auditorium for every community member. And make it way more accessible because we'll have a full fly and we'll be able to use the stage for a lot of other things. Today you can't get in during the musical and some of the plays, for example, so we'll be able to do more of that. We already mentioned safety and security. The middle school science classrooms will be improved, as well as the fine arts classrooms at the high school. And just appreciate everybody supporting this referendum. Thank you again. And we are going to we've created a timeline already that's out there on Transform 220, and we're, as much as I wanted to, oh,
Mr.
So, well, my future follows up with it, but no, I appreciate all the answers I've been given so far, and I would just say I wholeheartedly agree that We already have a plan in place, but it doesn't mean there is an opportunity. We certainly can be very conscientious of the vendors we select. We have to be very careful to make sure that the things that we put forward are still needed, because sometimes things do change, circumstances do modify over time. And so, I would say that as good stewards, we want to ensure that we're utilizing the money to the best. And similar to the 2020 referendum that was recently completed, I would love to tell you guys in a couple years that we now have a surplus because we spent less than projected, and be able to utilize that for other things like the air conditioning that we talked about, and be able to provide the services to our students and our learners that they so desperately need. And to that end as well, I'll just mention that it would be a blessing for us to be able to continue down this path of providing services to the full community, which is ultimately our goal. So thank you for that. And thank you again for all approving of the referendum. Wrap it up.
Thank you. All right, next question. Is there a key issue that has caused you to run for or stay on the school board? If so, what is it, and how do you plan to bring it to the forefront? We'll start with Ms. Srivastava.
I would say the reason that I'm running is I've always been an advocate for people in my life, in my career. I am a nurse, and that's just something that I have always been, I guess, acts of service is my love language. So it's just time for me to put myself foot forward and become more involved. So I wouldn't say there's one particular issue that motivates me to run. I just am actively engaged in the community, and I feel that I can bring a sense of ability to listen and also use my critical thinking skills when making decisions and be a representative of the community.
Thank you. Ms. Stern.
Okay, I would say if I had to pick one specific issue, it would be the mental health of our students. I think there's too much device use in the school district, and it's not just our school district. I mean, other school districts are doing this as well. They're trying to get rid of, phone usage, and I think the high school, they're already implementing that as well. So I think we need to shy away from just being, on the devices, the iPads. We need to get students to communicate more with each other and just to be more, present. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki Bradford.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Why are we running for school board, right? So we've already touched on many things. I want to fulfill the strategic plan framework 220. I feel obligated to help us implement the referendum and those dollars. I also feel an obligation to continue with this great board that we have today. We've spent a lot of time healing as a board and healing across the community, and we still have room to grow, right? So I feel a responsibility to stay on the board, and hopefully you feel the same, so that we can continue and we can continue to grow. Now that we've gotten past the healing, we can spend time together doing the important work that a board would typically do, and we'd like that opportunity to continue to do so. With all my years of experience, I've really developed an expertise in compromise and collaboration, which will make me extremely effective at all the diverse viewpoints across the board.
Thank you. Mr. Wang.
Thank you. Well, I kind of touched on this earlier when I introduced myself, and I'll just reiterate that, we started at a somewhat tumultuous time. Okay, fine, understated. Pretty tumultuous. Point being is that we've really just started some real great work, and as Sandra said, with her leadership, with the leadership of the rest of the board, we've really come together, and while we do have our differences, we are truly united in common goals and objectives today. And we're not going back and forth on things that, I'll just be very frank and say, are not board responsibilities. And so I felt called. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it could be very easy for me with a newborn at home and with a very busy day job to say that I don't want to do this. And it was somewhat of a challenge to just come back and say I want to. But this community, it's the work that we've begun, and it's the great work ahead of us that I see as my calling to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Karen.
Well, my dad always told me, don't complain about something if you're not willing to do something about it. So that's what brought me here 4 years ago, and I'll echo what's been said. The first couple of years, I don't know that anyone could have imagined, and I don't think they were really what we were elected to do. So I think our time on the board was truncated, and the fact that we didn't really get to accomplish what we set out to accomplish. And we're kind of there now, and there's a very steep learning curve with this position, and honestly, I feel motivated to run again. It would take me through the end of my children being in school, so that would, for me, be enough, and it would actually give me the opportunity to put to use what I've spent the last, I want to say 4, but let's say really 2 years learning about being a board member and being a productive member contributing to this district.
Wonderful. Let's move on to the next question. An individual board member has no authority on their own. Only the board as a whole can make a decision for the district. What strengths, skills, or experience allow you to contribute to effective operations of the board as a whole? And we'll start with Ms. Stern.
Let's see, well, currently right now I'm a trustee in the Educational Foundation, and so I work with administration on a monthly basis. I work with Craig, the superintendent, and Josh Carpenter. And, you know, I think I'm a good listener, I'm a good communicator. I've also been a PTO president in the past, and I've been a teacher. So I think just my willingness to work with people, to listen, to collaborate. You know, there's 7 people on the board, you know, like they said before, you know, not everyone's gonna agree on everything. Listening to both sides and coming to an agreement.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki Bradford.
Oh, shoot, sorry.
I'm gonna repeat some of the things probably in my closing, but I served, as of this election, I will serve on the board for 16 years. And during this time, I have served in every office, president, vice president, secretary. I've served on 6 years on finance, 6 years on policy. I haven't had the opportunity to serve on facilities, but with all the referendum, I've gotten some great time learning in that area too. I have guided this district through some of the most tumultuous, challenging times. And I'm willing to continue to do so because of the camaraderie and the respect that we have for each other on the board now. What else can I tell you? As a parent, all 3 of my kids at one point in time had an IEP. So I know as a parent what's it like to go through that. So I can empathize with parents as they go through that kind of experience too.
Thank you. Mr. Wang.
Yes, thank you. Well, I will just say that I'm academically trained in corporate finance and business economics. Professionally, I'm a VP of finance for a multi-billion-dollar healthcare organization. What I bring to the table is something that our board really does not have, which is corporate finance experience. And so, you know, at the VP level and at the executive level where I sit, this is not just about crunching numbers, although it's important, it's also about relationship building. And you know, that's where, to me, I really shine, and that's where I really enjoy my time. So in my day-to-day, I'm working with facilities folks, I'm working with HR, I'm working with physician relations, and I'm working with, you know, everybody down the functional area or ladder. On the school board, it's very similar. But instead of physicians, we work with educators. And instead of having external regulations, we have our ISB. That's what we're seeing in some of the work that we do. And so for me, it's about building those relationships, taking in the feedback, and making sure that we make the best decisions. And so that's the training and that's the expertise that I bring to this board. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Karen.
Okay.
Maybe you've picked up on the fact that I'm kind of a straight talker. So honestly, I think that was one of the most interesting and challenging parts of being on the board, but that I really would like to continue doing. Again, we're 7 individuals tasked with making decisions together, and I think the art of compromise is something that we all have to work on, and but we have gotten really good at, and hearing, and honestly hearing other people's opinions and being able to meet in the middle on issues. We can't win all the time, obviously, and Not that it should be winning because we're talking about children and taxpayers, but there are times where we have split votes, but the willingness to listen and compromise and hear issues and be willing to change your mind, I think is one of the things I've worked really hard on for myself.
Thank you. Ms. Srivastava.
In my personal career, I have a master's in nursing leadership and an MBA with over 10 years of experience in nursing leadership, managing over 75 individuals, including dealing with the budget and adhering to IDPH, Joint Commission, and OSHA regulations, and I think that would serve me well in a school board member. I also I excel in conflict resolution. I'm a problem solver, and I have worked extensively in multidisciplinary collaboration amongst physicians and family members and with other various members of the team. I serve as the PTO treasurer at Countryside Elementary, and I'm also a member on the HOA board. So I understand how to listen to diverse viewpoints and how to be empathetic and also respect and listen to my colleagues when making decisions, which I think would serve me well.
Thank you. Time now requires that we move to closing statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute, and we will begin with Ms. Vicki Bradford.
All right, thank you. As a board member, I've built deep connection with both the schools and with the community, and established myself as impartial, collaborative, trustworthy, and transparent. If re-elected, I will continue to make a positive impact on our district. I feel a sense of responsibility to continue the important work of the 220 board. I'm committed to making decisions that are in the best interests of the students, the staff, and the community. As of this year's election, I will have served for nearly 16 years. During this time, I've served in every office and on most board committees. And I have guided this district through some of the most challenging periods. If re-elected, I will continue the great things this board has already been able to accomplish. Every board member brings a wealth of experience, commitment, and various perspectives to their role. I believe that our diverse opinions and backgrounds work to benefit the entire community. I will continue to serve this community and our learners with love and with kindness for all. I truly want to empower personal excellence in every learner. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wang.
Thank you. So I won't rehash what I said in the prior question, because that was actually a lot of what I wanted to share as well. But you know, when I think about this election is centered on 6, honestly, really good choices. I would to say that I respect these folks would be an understatement. I've gotten the chance to know everybody at this table, as well as Aaron, over the last few years, and Rocky for even longer, actually. He's the Countryside, and so I don't think there's a bad choice on this table. What I will say is that I would like to think I bring a unique skill set, and with that skill set, not only is it from a financial background, but it's also from a position that I will listen and I will work for all constituents, and I will fundamentally fight each and every day for the things that I stand for, which are academic excellence, fiscal responsibility, and being the voice for the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Karen.
Well, first of all, thank you all for coming. We know these local elections are historically have low voter turnout, so I appreciate you all coming and educating yourself on all of us. I love this community. As I said, it's given so much to my family, and the heart of this community is our schools. I fully understand the importance of volunteer efforts that help keep our district running, and I'm grateful that I was already elected to serve our entire district for the last 4 years. I love the opportunity to use the knowledge that has taken years to accumulate, and I know I have more to offer our community, and I'm proud that I've been able to show my children what it means to stand up for what you believe in, to effectively communicate and to compromise, and to give back to the community that helped raise you. I'd be honored to continue to represent the voice of parents, students, taxpayers throughout Barrington.
Thank you. Ms. Srivastava.
Thank you all for your time, and as I previously mentioned, I know it takes a lot out of your day to be here, so we're happy to have you involved. I feel, as my previous answer that I talked about, my career in nursing has trained me for this, and I also, in my life, have always taken the time to advocate for those, including speaking against injustice, rallying the community around a worthy cause, and actively listening to the community and initiating changes. I feel that in this moment I am the right person to serve on the school board, as I have the drive, dedication, and passion to serve and genuinely care and am invested in this community. And I want to continue to provide our community and the students with tools to succeed and continue to advance and also give back to our community. So thank you for your time. And I know you have wonderful choices to make, and I hope I can have your support.
Thank you. Ms. Stern.
I'm Deanna Stern again. I feel passionate about keeping District 220 a premier destination to live and raise a family. As a former special education teacher, I feel I bring an inside perspective that no other board member has. I've worked at many different high schools, including one of the top rated high schools. Time, talent, and experience and investment in our school district is what I have. I have the time I will dedicate to this position. I promise to advocate for all voices of the community, including mental health, students with special needs, school safety, future career readiness, and fiscal responsibility. You can go to deannafor220.com to see more about me. Thank you.
Thank you. As I explained when we started, Erin Chanding was unable to be here with us today. According to the League of Women Voters policy, Ms. Chanding may submit a statement that will be read by her representative. This statement is limited to 3 minutes. This is the combined total of the 2-minute opening statement and the 1-minute closing statement. If the statement runs longer than 3 minutes, her representative will see the stop sign. We ask that you complete your sentence and then stop speaking. Please come forward, introduce yourself, and let's hear from Ms. Chanding.
Thank you.
So my name is Bina Kenneth Rain. I am a mother of 3 in the community, and it's an honor to be here to read this statement on behalf of Erin. So Erin so wishes that she could be here today, but several months ago she signed up for another kind of race that she's running, the Atlanta Marathon. If you know anything about Erin, you know that she likes running, and she's on a quest to run marathons in all 50 states. But when Erin thinks about this race, the race for school board, she wants you to know that it's been an absolute honor to serve for the past 4 years on the board, and she's honored to ask for your support for a second term. The breadth and depth of our school district is so vast that it took 4 years of Erin serving on the school board, the board's policy committee, district equity team, and twice as a delegate to the Illinois Association of School Boards General Assembly to learn effective governance and oversight of our expansive unified school district. If she's elected for another term, Erin will continue to create a deep sense of belonging in our schools. She's proud to serve a school district that's such a mosaic, where 70 different languages are spoken and where we have 41% students of color. Our board has supported equity initiatives in our district to ensure that our educators have the tools and sensitivity to make their classrooms welcoming for all students. Inclusive education has become a key pillar in our 5-year strategic framework, and we're continuing to recruit and hire diverse, high-quality staff. Erin is also so proud that the board worked with the district to implement free full-day kindergarten for every family, and that we launched our innovative K-Lab, 2 sections of kindergarten at our high school that have inspired all kinds of partnerships between some of our youngest and oldest learners. Erin also commits to effective stewardship in overseeing the design and implementation of our referendum, which will build new STEM rooms at our middle schools and high school, enhance safety, and construct an auditorium that's fully accessible to and by our community. She's also looking forward to solar panels at the high school that will save our school district millions and be a source of renewable energy. And she's proud that at the height of inflation, the board refrained from issuing bonds using the debt service extension base, which saved the taxpayers about $7.5 million over 3 years. Barrington 220 has continued to maintain a Standard & Poor's AAA bond rating, one of just 89 school districts nationwide with the designation. And she looks forward to working with her board colleagues to allocate more of our district's operational budget towards much needed facility maintenance and to keeping our tax rate currently at 4.6% compared with Killdeer's 7.1%, the 5th lowest out of 20 area school districts. And she and the board have created stability with our school district's 2 unions by unanimously approving multi-year contracts with both. Moving forward, she will do her utmost to protect individuals with disability in education grant funding for our special education students, as well as our Title I and National School Lunch Program funds, because contextually, kids need their basic needs met so that they can be fully present at school to thrive. please check out Aaron for 220.com to learn more, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Won't you join me in thanking all of our candidates?
Thank you, Catherine. Another fabulous job. As we bring this forum to a close, I would also like to thank the candidates for their participation today, and the Barrington Library, without whom we would not be able to hold a program such as this. And Sam has asked me to let all of you know that if you are registered for this forum, you will be receiving a link to watch the videos if you'd like to review what you've heard or share that with your friends. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, I would like to, first of all, if anybody would like to get information about participation in the League of Women Voters, we have a table over here at the side. And also, I'd like my fellow League members to raise their hand. There's a lot of us here. Men and women. We have a lot of men in the League of Women Voters. So if you'd like information, feel free to stop one of us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Don't forget, there are several ways that you can cast your ballot. In-person early voting starts March 17th, and there's still time to register to vote. You have until March 16th to register online. There's plenty of information available on the League of Women Voters website. There's also information on the table over at the side of the room. So please continue to participate in our democracy by casting your ballot. Your voice is your vote. Thank you for coming.